Um, you start with confusion, right? Everyone starts with confusion, whether it was the release of commercial LLMs or understanding what's the difference between AI and agentic AI. Um, and we'll fall back to first principles. It's a very human thing to do. Is this just another SaaS integration? Is this just a software problem? I have software controls, as you mentioned a moment ago. I've dealt with identity and access controls, maybe not very well, but we have some strictures in which we can approach that. And then you start to realize the limits of that understanding, and that's where the confusion comes in. But you do find commonalities, and that's where you move to the second stage of some realization, right? Where you say, oh, okay, there is identity still involved here. There are APIs. Okay, we've struggled to manage APIs for years, but that it's at least a known problem, and we can fall back to some of the challenges there. And data is always king, right? It's always who can have access to what data, when, and how, and why, and is the data safe, and blah blah blah. That's one of the key things we do as CISOs. So when you have that realization, then you can start to say, okay, well, what is the difference? Going back to identity and access, again, that's, I think, something we've struggled with for a long time. And suddenly you realize, well, hold on, where are these agents getting these privileges? Are they inheriting them from user accounts? Well, that's not right, is it? And then you realize, and you start to think, oh, okay, now, okay, we have to have a slightly different model to manage the risk. And that's where you move to the third phase, which is, it's kind of a dirty word, but governance, right? That's the core of what we do. How do we build structures in place so that we have a good understanding of what the risk is, what the bounds are? How do we build guardrails around, so that it's easy to make the right choices and difficult but not impossible to break glass? That's the core of what CISOs do to manage risk. So when you move into that governance phase, that third phase, you've gone through that realization.